My first comic book Phoenix Customs minifigure was this Havoc here. I've had it for about a year now, and in the meantime I did end up picking up their first minifigure, being their Gambit, and I have a new pre-order from them again today, which is their first comic minifigure in a super long amount of time, being a collab with a Goodfellas and this classic Wolverine from his first appearance in Incredible Hulk. I've been very excited to check it out. Typical packaging, you got the metal card on the back there with the silver metallic. Original Berserker is the name for it. You can see the two different logos for the collab partners. I do like the Wolverine tear through the Xmen logo. I think that's kind of fun. And let's check out the content. Like I said, it is their pretty typical classic clamshell. I bought this from Tier 1, so each individual bag is going to have a seal for warranty. So you have the main minifigure with the claws on and the custom molded hairpiece, and another bag for the custom molded mask and the extra head that goes with the mask. On the back side of the card is going to be a Goodfella Minifigs logo again, the link for his Instagram, and just some generic warnings. With that being said, let's check it out on the stand. And taking a look at the OG Wolverine, I think the first thing I want to talk about is the way that they did the claws. They are pretty long and pretty thin, and you can see that they're not super well aligned. Looking at the profile here, it's a little bit more obvious, where you can see this one is definitely curving in a little bit. It looks like the middle and the, I guess, one on the right side of the screen is a little bit better. But also looking at the front, you can see that there's kind of like a glove top situation going there. So my first instinct seeing that was that there was like a insert over the hand, which would be kind of like the cross-check claws. But it is actually just one big molded piece. So that's kind of interesting to see, and it's kind of a unique way to do it, and kind of makes the glove look more seamless, especially since they printed some of the glove on the arm. I've noticed that the connection for that is pretty loose, not like loose enough that it would fall out, but not tight enough that it would cause issues breaking the arm eventually or anything. Getting to the side of the arm, you can also see some nice hair design mixing in with the muscles. So that's kind of nice. Not a huge fan of printed arm muscles all the time. You know, Phoenix kind of goes back and forth. I feel like for like the Thor characters, they definitely do throw on the muscles. And that'll be something that was also shared with the KO Customs one. Getting to the arms and the gloves like I was talking about, there is also wraparound blue on the inside of the arm where there will be more printing. So that is a seamless design all the way around the arm, which is nice to see. I always enjoy when customs do that. You know, Phoenix has been getting better at that, not something that they've always done on all of their designs. No printing on the side of the torso, so the belt doesn't continue around. I know that's one of his concerns. Lego doesn't do that, so he doesn't usually. And as the arms move around, it could cause issues. And we talked about this arm. Let's look at the claw on the other one. I feel like the alignment on this side is a little bit better. Maybe it's only the middle one that's bent weird. I guess maybe the left one. So looks like a bit of a mirrored issue. But same sort of detailing on the arm there. Moving the arm out of the way, there is some side leg printing for that blue to continue the trunk design. And looks like these are printed on blue legs. So as you bend the legs, you're not going to have any issues with the printing breaking up, which is something I always appreciate about the KO Customs minifigures that they've been putting out. They always keep that in mind, and that has been a pretty consistent design-wise for them. Glad to see it here too. One downside to Lego legs is that there is that angle on the inside of the foot where printing just can't really get to. And that's going to be something noticeable here with the boot, where there's a little bit of a gap. Of course, something that would be present on the official Lego one, but this one didn't even get more of the black that you can see there. And same for the KO Customs one, where it feels like they might have gotten the black a little bit closer to the feet, but didn't continue it down onto the bottom of the feet. So some positives and some negatives there that I just want to point out. I do like that there is a little bit of like a sole of the boots that he would be wearing. Let's see the inside of the legs also printed. So you get that full 360 wraparound leg print. And I don't know if the yellow is spot on. It looks a little bit faded where the blue is seeping through a little bit, especially compared to the torso, which is yellow. So that's a bit of a problem for me, where I would like to see a figure like this at this price point be a little more consistent color-wise. Obviously, the yellow plastic compared to printed yellow isn't going to be perfect every time. I already talked about the claws. There are no extra hands. which would be nice, honestly, just having the sort of gloves with the weird metal sheath parts. I think they're going to do that for their new movie Wolverine minifigure, but didn't do it here, which is totally understandable. Obviously, most people would just want the claw look, and that is the more important look for the hands. Other molded accessory is going to be the shoulder pads, which are nice and small, which is perfect for the original appearance. Obviously, when you get to the 90s, you get a little bit bulkier on the shoulder pads. And I guess that would be more of like giant size going on with that look. First look, though, not as wide. There's a little bit of print too, where there's black. I'm going to guess that this is symmetrical, so I guess mirrored. So if you flip it the other way, it wouldn't matter, so you don't have to worry about one side being the front, one side being the back. And there's a little bit of subtle darker yellow shading at some of the muscle lines, which gives it a little bit of shape. I don't know if I really love that all the time. Honestly, probably could have gone without it since it is a very comic inspired look, but if you're trying to get it a little more detailed, a little more realistic, it does probably help to give you that illusion. I kind of like that it is like a dark tan for like the collarbones there instead of dark yellow. It gives it a little contrast to help with that shading look. And looking at the tiger stripes, you can see that they are very separate on this design versus like the one Lego has done and pretty much all of their tiger stripe ones where all the black is right next to each other. I feel like this is very classic to me, and honestly, if you switched out the official one or even just found another company that made like shoulder pads and had the full yellow look, this would be perfect for just a normal tiger stripe Wolverine versus the first appearance. Hairpiece, also custom molded. I do really like the texturing here, and the sheen is perfect. It is pretty much the color that I feel like Lego plastic would be. And it's kind of strange to see these facial hair on the mold versus printed. So you just have like a nice face that's on flesh that you could use for pretty much anybody if you wanted to, especially this angry one. I feel like this would be a nice face for like Kingpin. And then the other side, obviously, you got the more angry and berserker face. So I'll switch that around quick and look at that on the front. And while I have the head off, I just want to show off some other stuff. The belt is split between the torso and the hip. So that's kind of cool and probably helps with the sort of accuracy of the suit. Having the belt on the torso kind of makes the torso a little stubby. Having it on the hip makes it look a little weird sometimes too. So having that little balance between the two of them probably helps make him seem a certain height since he is supposed to be a shorter character. Balances it a little bit where he doesn't have like super huge diaper type shorts. And this too, it is wide enough to have the neck actually go in the hole. So it is going to be a little floppy until you get the head on since the hole is a little bit bigger than the neck. And as you push down the head, you just got to make sure that it aligns and actually presses down into it. And since it does hang out over the neck, as you're kind of twisting to get the head off, you just got to be a little bit careful that you're not twisting the blue, because I'm sure that could be a little fragile and could break. But really liking the look here for this head. And for the faces, I do kind of like the eyebrow design, how there's a little bit of extra loose hair on the edges. The mouths look fine too, with probably a little bit of fang looking teeth at the edges of the mouth, and just the darker flesh coloring to add some extra expression lines works well. I just want to look at the other one too to see what other extra detailing there is. Yeah, I do really like the extra sort of flesh coloring on the eyebrows. Definitely makes it a little bit more expressive. And of course, just the lines around the mouth do a lot of work too, to just give it more expressive looks. And we got the mask too, so let's toss that on. This is where the shoulder pads might throw off the look a little bit to me, where there is basically no neck with the mask on. Just makes it feel a little weird, but the mask, very luchador inspired probably. The way that the eyes are done is just a white bar on the top of the head there. No goggles or anything to make it like Lego does. And the other side is an unmasked looking head with no white, so that's kind of a bummer. I don't really love that design, since I would like to have two different mask options. It would have made a lot of sense to have both sides of this head match the expressions on the unmasked head, but now we have a third, more unmasked look, but it's printed on the yellow. So when you put on the hair piece, some of the yellow still kind of peeks up at the top there. So it's like almost fine, but like I don't understand why they made this decision here. It doesn't really fit with the design that they have going for this head and what I would expect from an alternate head with a mask. Especially since it is just a white bar and no explanation for the actual white when it has the mask on. Now with the lighting, it's a little tough to see the white since it is kind of shadowy. But I do like the mold here. I think it is done pretty well, especially blending in like the horns, I guess you would call them, on the sides there, and is fully printed all the way around with the black. So that is a good look. Line work for the edges of the mask too with those thin black lines looks fine. So no complaints there. I feel like this would definitely be something kind of tough to translate into plastic instead of just the 2D drawing that they had in the comics. I feel like maybe it's a little smooth on the front there, where I just feel like maybe it should have some more definition for the head. Not 100% sure, or maybe it's just too round at the top, but that's kind of my only complaints, where it is a little weird to look at, honestly. But also the original suit wasn't great, and obviously they have improved on it throughout the years with all the different design changes that they have made. I guess I should say too, the silver on the claws looks good, like that. Same with the, I do really like the area where the claws come out of the gloves. I think the mold there is also fun. Just as we're talking about the custom molds, guess I'll just switch around the head to the other side. And the mask does still fit on this head, where like the pupils for the eye print are showing and the mouth lines up perfectly. So this is an option. I'm sure maybe in the comics at some points it has been drawn where you can see his eyes, or if you wanted the full realistic without the whites, this also works for that. But really, that is the whole minifigure here. Let's go to some comparisons and the final verdict. I know Wolverine ends up being one of those characters that's very overdone, but it is nice and refreshing to see a take on a suit that doesn't really get represented very much, being this original first appearance suit. And it is really fun to see how it compares to the other kind of lineup of his classic suits, with I think my favorite version, customized for sure, comic-based suit that I've had previously was this KO Customs version, which would be, suit 1, suit 2. Obviously the Lego one definitely fits in the same ballpark as that one, but then you get to the brown suit. So kind of have all of his most iconic suits represented in some way. The Astonishing one don't have it on the stand, but I have that one obviously from the original Lego set. And I think the most interesting thing about custom Wolverine minifigures is how they do the claws. I've seen 3 different ways now. Crosschecks is probably my least favorite. My favorite is still definitely Chaka's, whether it's the movie version here or the one on the Old Man Logan that I also have. Both of them are great. Obviously this one has the extra little bit of mold on the gloves for the sheaths, just like the first appearance one by Phoenix. Like I said, I do think using like the mold with the glove tops molded onto it is an interesting choice and probably works pretty well. I would say the colors matching helps a lot with the print and the plastic. So it just blends together, looks good, matches his suits where he does have like the really long gloves, and that's something that Lego doesn't really end up doing because they do just have the hands representing the gloves. Looks like KO printed them. So that's kind of the comparison there between the 2 different styles that you could do with the molded hands and just the print. So it's not going to be like a perfect solution either way, I guess. I don't even really hate the look here where, you can have like the maybe thicker part of the glove on the arm. There's a little bit of a difference there to contrast where the hand part is, or just like the solid look there. Again, just interesting takes to see how different companies do it. The white parts of the eyes, I know it's a little hard to see in the video just because no matter what I'm going to do, it's going to be super shadowy. I think just having the white bar just doesn't feel right to me, since Lego had like the fun solution on their minifigures where they come up with like an in-universe way that the white in the eyes actually happens. I just think that's really fun how they did that for Wolverine, for Nova. Obviously for Batman, they started doing that. Wasn't something they did before, but I don't know. I just think that's a fun idea. Maybe it would have added more printing and ink colors for the head, so I can see why they wouldn't want to. But that's kind of my preferred look at this point. I will say though, I am happy to see that they went with full yellow. I think that's one of the best parts about Wolverine minifigures nowadays, is that they aren't in that bright, lightest orange. I've mentioned that in most of my X-Men reviews, since pretty much every custom X-Men minifigure I've gotten in the last year, and even official minifigures now, are on actual brick yellow. And that's just the right color for the X-Men. It's just brighter, more vibrant, and just fits better. I feel like maybe for the brown suit, the orange-ish look looks better, but for that classic comic one, I definitely want it in yellow. And for the cowl design, as close as you're going to get in small Lego form like this, so no complaints there. Just, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a little too round at the top, but definitely matches the official Lego ones, but they have a lot more of that extra black molded on the outside, so that probably balances them a little bit better. But let me know, what do you think out of this one compared to the other comic suits? Is this something that you would want in your collection even? For me, I bought it just because I think it's cool to have first appearance suits, have it for Captain America and Iron Man for their original comic suits, or I guess more like second generation suits, since those ones kind of evolved a little bit, and good to have Wolverine here in my X-Men collection. If you want to see more custom Lego X-Men videos or Lego X-Men videos overall, check out all the videos on my channel. I have been Brick Radiop, and I will see you in the next video.